Okay, so I read like 16 books in April, which not that bad. I do have like an annual goal for this year of, I think it's 225. So 16 is good, it's a solid number. That's essentially almost a book every like 2 days. I mean, a lot of that was thanks to some Kindle favorites. But if I'm looking down a lot, it's because I have my Storygraph app pulled up on my phone. I use Storygraph instead of Goodreads. Goodreads is fine. I've just noticed that like once I became an author, for whatever reason, Goodreads is just like a little bit more toxic. I am all for reviews, fair reviews, totally fine. I do not care that obviously like you're gonna put stuff out there, there are bad reviews in the world. So like it's not about getting bad reviews, totally fine. God knows I review books I don't like, that's so fine. But there's just like sometimes the sentiment just gets a little too far into nasty. So I use Storygraph instead of Goodreads. I actually think Storygraph also has way cooler data, so it tracks like the moods of the kind of stuff that you're reading. It shows like all of the different kinds of like categories that you're doing. So I'll show like a little snapshot, again, if I can figure out the editing of like my stuff up here. Here, I'm making a big motion. I hope that there's a thing there by the time this goes up. But I read like 16 books, so I'm gonna jump in and we're gonna do like a quick little overview, a little reading recap of everything that I read in April. Almost everything was an ebook, so I don't have anything like pretty to hold. So again, I'm like looking at my phone quite a bit, but I do have my Storygraph pulled up. And I'll put all of the cover images of everything up on the screen. First book I read was The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. You guys probably saw on Instagram, I reviewed this. I read it in like 2 days. This is the one where it is not a shifter romance. It is a monster romance. So it is a dragon. It's dragon. A slightly more humanoid one, but he does have 2 peens, so there you go. Things I learned from that book. One, Katie Robert, obviously she's great. She's super good at writing and she's very good at writing smut. So it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't for me. The whole time I just kind of was like picturing a man, and then like the whole anatomy thing that I mentioned previously I just didn't picture it. I just was like, yeah, just the one, you know, like I'm just thinking about the one. So Dragon's Bride, really good, like in terms of if that is your thing, your genre, I think you will probably love it. And Katie Robert obviously does what she does because she's good at it. I just continued to learn that that was not, it's not a genre for me, which we also learned with Morning Glory Milky Farm. You can see that rant there, linked wherever. There you go. I also read the most amazing arc ever, like so good. So this was The Daughter of Dr. Moreau. It is by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and it was amazing. The Daughter of Dr. Moreau. So it is a twist on the classic Island of Dr. Moreau. And if you don't know what that is, it's like a classic sci-fi novel where there is a Dr. Moreau, this crazy mad scientist who lives on this like island, and it's just him. And then he's actually like doing all of these crazy experiments and like making animal human hybrids. So it's called The Island of Dr. Moreau. And this book is called The Daughter of Dr. Moreau. It comes out in July, so I haven't posted my like full review yet because I'm waiting for it to be a little bit closer to the actual publication day to post a full review, but it was fantastic. I normally don't read a ton of sci-fi, and I don't feel like I read like a ton of like literature fiction. You know, I really do tend to stay in my like fantasy romance world, but this was so good. It was so well executed. She is just absolutely fantastic at what she does. The language was written beautifully. There's so many underlines that I made of just things that kind of made me like stop and gasp, and like just written so beautifully. I think that the twist that she put on the original source material is fantastic. It is like a wonderful, fantastic, I keep saying fantastic, like upgrade kind of for 2022. I don't want to give too much away. Obviously, in the title, Daughter of Dr. Moreau, the main character is the daughter of the famous, you know, infamous, I should say, scientist Dr. Moreau. So It happens on said island, I think in the original source material, which I haven't read in a very long time, if ever, actually. I've seen the movie. Marlon Brando's in the movie. There was a movie that was made, and I'm like fairly positive Marlon Brando's in it. Anyway, but it takes place also off, takes place in Mexico as well. So she's like updated the setting. She put it in, I believe, the 19th century. I get all of my centuries wrong because like, just is something that has always confused me. So she updated the setting and she made the main character the daughter of the infamous Dr. Moreau, not Dr. Moreau. And it's just really, really, really wonderful because she's baked in a lot of like political subplot lines based on what was happening in Mexico at the time. So it's just truly, I will say fantastic one more time, an excellent, 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 fantastic read. So please keep an eye out for when this one comes out. I know that this author seems to have a really good relationship with Book of the Month. So if you see this coming in Book of the Month, snag it. Also the cover, it's really, really pretty. Again, I'll kind of like throw it up right here. Maybe it's been up here the whole time. I don't know. We'll see. And third book. So one of my just like instant buy authors is Onley James, and she does dark LGBTQ romances. So they're all on Kindle Unlimited. But her latest release came out this past month called Madman. It was book 5 in the Necessary Evils trilogy, not trilogy, obviously. Necessary Evils series by Onley James. Molly, take a deep breath. You're so excited. Get the words out. Madman by Onley James, the 5th book in the Necessary Evils series. She's an instant buy for me. I just absolutely love it. Please check all of the Twitter warnings. It is Twitter warnings. Well, Twitter these days, you know. Check all of the trigger warnings for that. It is a dark romance, but the Necessary Evils series revolves around a patriarchal figure who adopted a bunch of sons who none of them are blood related. Like, he's adopted all of these children that showed early signs of being psychopaths, and he raised them to be good murderers, vigilantes, not bad ones. So they're all basically like crazy, but they go after criminals and people who the justice system forgets. And they're all LGBTQ, and they're just chef's kiss. So I drop everything and read it in a day when Onley James has a new one come out. Man Bad I've been waiting for a really long time. It was delicious. Obviously, like I said, chef's kiss. So if you haven't checked out Onley James, do it. Thank me later. And this was so good. So I read Madman. That came out this past month. It was wonderful. Did a reread of A Court of Silver Flames as well. I won't go super into that, but basically we're doing another podcast episode soon with Crescent City Theories Part 2. So I wanted to do another reread of A Court of Silver Flames to particularly go through and underline any references to things that may make sense in the mass universe. And that's all I will say, because I want to make sure that there are no spoilers. So Throne of Glass, ACOSF, Crescent City, all those things. So going through to kind of see what we can suss out with our girl. So I did reread A Court of Silver Flames again, which was always damn good, if I do say so myself. And then I actually read Honey Honey by Rebel Carter. This was a KU Samut fave. Pretty straightforward. I mean, like, guy owns a BDSM club, or like always attends a BDSM club, but it had good spice. So I'm just gonna throw that up there because it's not that fancy or exciting, but it was wonderful, and it's on KU, so you're welcome. There was a couple more that I read. I'm like blazing through this list, quite frankly. I did read a couple books in a series on KU called Oak Fast Fated Mates. So these were all fantasy romances with shifters. So like there was a bear shifter, and then there was like a wolf shifter in one. They were fine. They were really short, so I sped through 2. I didn't love them, so I didn't keep going, but they were fine. Yeah, I guess I'm not really making a good case for those. So I read those. That's fine. What were some other favorites? Because I don't know like how many. I don't want to sit here and I could blab about all 16, but I won't. I will link everything that I read down below in the list so you can find all of it, but just to not go on forever. I did read a couple books in a series by, I'm looking down at my list again, Jolie Vine's Wild Mountain Scots. Yes, is the name of the series. They are all on KU, and it is a rescue team in the Highlands of Scotland with just a bunch of bearded, rugged Scottish men. I don't feel like I have to tell you anything else. I feel like you're good now. You can run off with that information and you're gonna be good. I obviously read Morning Glory Milking Farm, which, like, again, I'll link that elsewhere. But then one of my, like, absolute favorites from this month that totally made me cry was We Have Till Dawn. We Have Till Dawn by Cara D. It was the last book that I read in April. And oh my God. It is also an MM romance, and it looks at a former sex worker who takes on like one last client, and it is an older gentleman who is autistic. And I went for the spice and stayed for the plot, the characters, how many times I cried. It was so good. And there is a second one. In this like series. It's not like, it's like an anthology series, like they're all standalones, but there's another one in there too. So it was delicious is all I have to say. The sun is like setting while I'm filming, so this is great. I didn't really think that through. Sorry, not sorry. So April was good. So many good reads. I'm really, really excited about The Daughter of Dr. Moreau. Check that out. Pre-order it if you haven't. Like, it was absolutely wonderful. Keep an eye out for our podcast. We're definitely gonna be doing another episode based on my Quarter Silver Flames reread. And you can check all of the links below in the description for all of the spicy, spicy reads that I used to get through my month. And that is all I have to say about those. Let me know what your favorite book in April was down below in the comments. I need to add a couple more things to my TBR. It's never ending. But if you read something fantastic in April, if you're gonna check one of these out, or if you also read it, whatever, let's chat below. I always wanna hear what everybody's reading. So it's a pretty damn good month, and we'll see if I can beat 16 months in May.